Hey everyone, I'm SpiderMan 1991, and I like to review comic books. Here's my review of all the comic books I bought for the week of April 16th, 2014. Let's kick it off with Marvel. First off from Marvel, Amazing X-Men number 6. This is pretty much the aftermath issue of the first story arc on Amazing X-Men, which saw the return of Nightcrawler. This is pretty much, and the way I say it is like, I describe it as an aftermath issue is because this is pretty much what sort of picks off right after Kurt comes back. All the X-Men are together at a bar in Westchester, and they're all celebrating Nightcrawler's return, and even the Cyclops' uncanny X-Men come by to see their friend back. And so, you know, Kurt is able to calm down the tension between Wolverine and Cyclops, and so they all celebrate until Nightcrawler notices that their waitress is really his mother, Mystique. And after they argue for a bit, Mystique goes and breaks out Kurt's father, Azazel, because she needs him for a job. Obviously, she's recruiting him for her Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Okay, and also the issue ends with Kurt and Logan leaving the bar the very next morning. So yeah, Amazing X-Men number 6. I would say that this is. I wouldn't say it's essential to the resurrection of Nightcrawler. I mean, I think it's just a little fun issue that you know, if you're curious about what the X-Men did once Kurt came back, they pretty much just all went out for a drink and celebrated, which is nice. And there are some funny moments, like when Wolverine, after Kurt calms down Wolverine and Cyclops, Wolverine says, "Hope you brought credit card, Slim, because you're not drinking on my tab," which was very funny. And you know, also Kurt has to deal with his parents, who are basically supervillains, now working together again. But it really doesn't tie into the current Nightcrawler miniseries. It really serves as the story arc that we just read in Amazing X-Men. So if you read that story arc and you're wondering like what happened after that, like what the X-Men do now that Kurt's back, I would say get Amazing X-Men number 6 because it's just a very fun issue, and it's very nice to see them celebrating the return of one of their most favorite members. Okay, next up from Marvel, Superior Spider-Man number 31, the series finale. This is the last issue in the Superior Spider-Man series. And I really don't want to talk too much about the plot because I don't want to give it away, but I will say this, one of my favorite moments in this issue is when the Green Goblin realizes that he's not dealing with Otto anymore, he's dealing with Peter Parker. Like, just right when he sees that, he starts throwing away, but Spider-Man doesn't let him. Yeah, and also the idea of who the Goblin was, we were all right. We were right, but it's not in the way that... But again, this is Dan Slott we're talking about, so he can give us what we thought was coming, but in another way. And I don't want to give away Norman Osborn's return, but okay, I just spoiled it. Well, partially spoiled it, but it's very interesting once you know we find out who's under the mask and everything. And also, Spider-Man does manage to save everyone, with the only casualty being the Otto Octavius, who died to bring Peter back, which Peter notes at the end of the Goblin Nation conclusion. After that, though, we get a little epilogue that helps set the stages for the new Amazing Spider-Man series coming out in, I believe, 2 weeks from now. Hey, just in time for the new movie, so I'm happy about that. And also, this is kind of random. Well, not really random because it's by Dan Slott as well, but we also get a print version of a Marvel Infinite comic that was written by Dan Slott featuring the Silver Surfer that ties into that series, so, you know, whatever, cross-promotion, I guess. But yeah, I would say if you have been reading any part of the Superior Spider-Man story, if you just got back in with Goblin Nation, then you are and you're planning on getting Amazing Spider-Man, then I would say this issue is definitely not something you want to miss, because it's jam-packed with a ton of action. Also, Spider-Man does have a team up with Miguel O'Hara, who, and surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't have, and a lot of people aren't finding it, that the ones who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, like Carly Miguel and Mary Jane, they instantly believe him when he says, like, my brain was swapped with Dr. Octopus's, and they're like, yeah, we believe you, Peter, that kind of stuff would happen to you. So that was kind of weird, but overall, this was a great issue. Seriously, the Superior Spider-Man series was definitely something interesting. It was taking something that you really couldn't have gotten away with, I think, earlier in comics, but early in the history of comics, but now this is like something that really broke the mold, where you had the supervillain defeat the hero and switch bodies. And it has been like a year and a half since the switch, and now Otto's gone, Peter's back in the saddle, and Amazing Spider-Man is going to be back on the stands in 2 weeks. I'm very excited for that. If you are a Spider-Man fan, I really recommend getting Superior Spider-Man, especially getting this. I wouldn't say it's essential for reading Amazing Spider-Man, but this is something that you'll definitely want to get. Probably when the Goblin Nation story arc comes out in trade for Superior Spider-Man. But yeah, overall, Superior Spider-Man, I really enjoyed the series. It was one of my favorite. I believe I said it was one of my favorite comic book series of 2013. So yeah, overall, I loved it. Am I sad to see Otto go? A little, but hey, we got Peter Parker back, and that's something I'm really happy about. So yeah, Superior Spider-Man number 31, definitely a buy. Alright, next up, time for DC Comics with Justice League number 29. This is pretty much the showdown we've all been waiting for. Well, not really, probably not the showdown we've all been waiting for since Forever Evil started, but it is an important showdown because it is Cyborg versus his old body, which is possessed by the computer virus Grid. So pretty much, Cyborg is leading the Metal-Men to kind of fight the crime syndicate in Happy Harbor. When they get there, though, they're attacked by Grid, who also summons the Fearsome Five. While the Metal-Men deal with the Fearsome Five, Cyborg takes on Grid until Grid connects their minds on the digital plane. And right when they're in the digital plane, Victor Stone sort of finally embraces his cyborg half and stuff, and suddenly starts to gain more control until he finally defeats Grid by pretty much locking him in his old body. And when I say locking him in his old body, I mean like Grid's trapped in there forever. He can't do anything. He's basically frozen in Cyborg's old body, and that's it for Grid. And after Grid's defeated, Cyborg and the Metal-Men are joined by Steve Trevor and Killer Frost, who Trevor says that they can use Wonder Woman's lasso to try to bring the Justice League back, which suddenly they're attacked by another team of supervillains, and the issue ends with Cyborg holding the lasso saying, "We've got to get the Justice League back," and that's it. So yeah, everything on Forever Evil is starting to come to a conclusion now. Forever Evil number 7 comes out next month. This pretty much leads into it in a way, because now we've got... Well, actually, I would say this leads into what's going on in Justice League of America, which is sort of telling us how the Justice League, all the JLA and the Justice League and the Justice League Dark were all trapped by the crime syndicate and the Firestorm Matrix. So yeah, there's a lead into that in this issue. Also, I did like the whole... Also, if you are a Cyborg fan, I really say get Justice League, because I think Jeff Johns is doing a great job with this character. He's definitely evolved Cyborg to the point where I think that, in a way, I think if Jeff Johns writes a Cyborg solo series, that could be a big hit. But for now, Cyborg's still the star of Justice League right now, because all the other members are incapacitated and Batman's teaming up with the Injustice League right now. So yeah, Justice League number 29, I would say if you're getting Forever Evil or you're a really big Cyborg fan, this is definitely a buy. Otherwise, you can just borrow this from a friend. Right, next up, Batman number 30. This is the final third part of the whole 0-year story arc, where we begin the third chapter, known as Savage City. Pretty much, since Bruce Wayne was knocked out, the Riddler has apparently has sealed off Gotham. He's shut down power. It's going crazy out there. There's plants pretty much growing everywhere. Pretty much everything that we saw at the very first issue of the 0-year story arc. We're now at that point where pretty much the Riddler has control over everything, and he pretty much is challenging the citizens of Gotham, saying, I'm not going to turn the power back on until you give me a riddle I can't solve. And everyone's trying, but they all fail. Jim Gordon is eventually able to get a team of, I guess, I don't think they stated what branch of what law enforcement branch they were a part of, but I think they might be Navy SEALs or something. Anyways, Jim Gordon is able to get a distress signal out. He teams up with this team of soldiers, and they are able to turn the power back on for a brief moment until Riddler notices them, sends in a bunch of drones. But fortunately, they're saved by Batman, who after waking up is able to make his way back to his townhouse, where fortunately though, even after it was destroyed by the Red Hood gang, Bruce's underground bunker was, I guess, still intact, because Bruce pretty much raids that thing and gets his gear together and is able to help out Jim Gordon. And at the end of the issue, we finally get the moment that, you know, is something that Zero Year has been building to, is the moment where Batman and Jim Gordon finally agree to work together. And that's where the issue ends. Okay, well, finally, the Riddler is pretty much front and center in the Zero Year story arc, because, yeah, I know the Riddler Enigma has been in almost every issue, but he's been kind of like in the background, sort of, all leading up to this, pretty much the end game, where Riddler is forcing the citizens of Gotham to sort of evolve or get smarter, as he says it, which is pretty interesting, because Riddler is, well, he's not your typical Batman villain. I mean, he's not really a fighter; he's a thinker, and that can be just as challenging for Batman, because, you know, even though we all know Batman is the world's greatest detective, most of the time he has to deal with guys like Bane, Ra's al Ghul. You know, most of the time Batman just does, you know, physical fighting, but now he's fighting mentally, which, you know, I think, you know, I like the way the Riddler is portrayed in this, about how, you know, he's more controlling, manipulative, stuff like that. So I like the way the Riddler is written in this issue. Can't wait to see what. Chances are, though, it's going to be bad. Chances are, when we get to maybe the last couple of issues, Batman is going to make his way to the Riddler's compound, and he's going to come up with a riddle that Riddler's not going to know, and that will pretty much lead into the whole bringing back the power to Gotham. But yeah, Zero Year, it's pretty great, although unfortunately it has been going on for a while now, so, you know, unless you're still curious about about what Gotham was like when Batman first showed up, I'd say keep reading this story. It's written by Scott Snyder. He's done amazing work on the Batman title, so I would say this is definitely a buy. Otherwise, if you feel like it's dragging on, I would just say wait for the trade to come out. Okay, and last comic, and this is sort of two issues of the same comic, because I was going to get the first issue last week, which I explained in my last review, but it was sold out and I had to order it online. So here we are, Batman Eternal issues 1 and 2. Alright, pretty much for issue 1, Batman and Jim Gordon are dealing with Professor Pig, and when they split off so Batman can go chase after Professor Pig, Gordon goes after one of his henchmen, but when Jim Gordon is able to get him down a dead end, Jim thinks the guy's holding a gun, but apparently, Gordon shoots at him, which apparently goes right through the guy and it shoots out, and it takes out a circuit box. And once that circuit box is taken out, apparently it causes a subway train wreck and basically has a subway train crash into a station and kill a bunch of people. And apparently a bunch of other cops saw the footage from a security camera, and apparently the man that Jim Gordon shot was unarmed. So now Commissioner Gordon is arrested for not only shooting an unarmed man, but also causing a huge subway crash. And that's pretty much what happens in issue 1 of Batman Eternal, when Jim Gordon gets arrested, and of course Batman, he doesn't believe that someone is obviously trying to set Jim up, so he's going to do whatever in his power to save him. Issue 2, though, deals with sort of the fallout of that. After Jim is put in jail, Batman goes to see him, and he takes a sample of Gordon's blood and says that he's going to look into this himself, and because he thinks that since they were fighting Professor Pig, it is possible Gordon got infected by some drug that made him think the guy had a gun. And so Batman goes, does his usual detective work. Catwoman finds him. Of course, Batman also does some looking into who the identity of the guy Jim shot was. And Batman finds out, apparently, that the guy that was supposedly working for Professor Pig is really working for, and spoiler alert here, you're going to want to fast forward, he's really working for Carmine Falcone, who has just returned to Gotham. And for those of you who are big Year One fans, you know that Carmine Falcone was one of the big crime bosses in Gotham before Bruce Wayne became Batman, and when he became Batman, he eventually took him down. So now Falcone is back, and of course this is big news for not just Batman, but also the Catwoman, because one of the first people Catwoman robbed, apparently, according to Year One, was Carmine Falcone. In fact, he still got the scratch on his face from when Catwoman scratched him. So yeah, all right. Batman Eternal numbers 1 and 2. These are actually pretty great issues. Oh yeah, one more thing. In issue 2, we do get a little bit of cameo for the New 52 version of the Spectre, I believe. Okay. Other than that, okay, done with that. Now for the commentary. Pretty great Batman series. I mean, this year is the 75th anniversary of Batman, and DC thought what better way to celebrate it than by giving a weekly Batman series that's not just written by Scott Snyder, but also a bunch of other writers. All their names are on the issue, on the issues. So I'm not gonna read them all. Anyways, it's a great series. The only downside of this is that it is weekly, and apparently it's going to run for an entire year. So we're looking at maybe 52. I did check online, and apparently the number of issues might be 60. So good news is that I would say it is affordable, because these are only $2.99. So I think that's good. I think $2.99 is pretty much the right amount. Is a reasonable amount for a comic of this content that comes out every week. I would say get Batman Eternal if you need a Batman series, if you are a huge Batman fan, because hey, this comes out almost every week, so your Batman needs will be fulfilled. And but overall, Batman Eternal. But the only downside though is if you can't afford to pay this weekly, then I would say just wait for the trade, which could be a while. But hey, it's Batman, so it's worth it. I really think they're obviously building up to something big here, because first page of issue 1 showed Bruce Wayne apparently tied to the bat signal and Gotham in flames. So I have no idea how this is going to lead into that, but I do agree with Batman that Gordon is being set up. Question is, by who? Maybe it is Carmine Falcone, maybe not. We've got about a whole year for this story to be told. I can't wait to read the rest of it. I highly recommend Batman Eternal is definitely a buy. Okay, that's it for my comic book review this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you like this review, check out some of my other reviews. I don't just review comics. I've also got Power Ranger toys, some Doctor Who sonic screwdrivers, and some movie reviews. So check those out. Again, thank you for watching. For those of you who are already subscribed to me, thank you for staying subscribed to me for this long. I'm SpiderMan 1991 saying see you later.